Most people think men cheat because they want more sex, or because they're selfish, or because they can. And sometimes that's true. But most of the time, the real reason is something much harder to admit. Something men often do not have the language to say out loud. Let me be clear before this starts. This is not a defense of cheating. What happened was wrong. The damage was real. The betrayal was real. Nothing in this video changes that. But if you actually want to understand why men do it, you have to look past the easy answer. Because the easy answer feels satisfying. It does not explain much. Here is what most people assume. He cheated because he wanted variety. He cheated because he was weak. He cheated because he thought he would not get caught. And yes, those things can be true, but they are usually symptoms, not the cause. The deeper story is this. A lot of men do not cheat because they stop loving their partner. They cheat because they stop feeling like a person. Not seen. Not chosen. Not wanted. Just useful. A provider. A worker. A role. And after long enough, that starts to feel like disappearance. That is the part most people miss. A man can live inside a relationship for years and still feel invisible. He can be doing everything right, working, supporting, showing up, holding things together, and still feel like no one is actually seeing him. Not the role, him. Esther Perel has spent years talking about this pattern, and one of the things that comes up again and again is not a lack of love, it is a lack of aliveness. Men who cheat often do not describe falling out of love first. They describe feeling numb, flat, unnoticed, like they became background noise in their own life. Then someone appears, sometimes by accident, sometimes for a moment, and suddenly they feel something they had not felt in a long time. Seen. Not just desired. Seen. And that difference matters. A lot. Because a man who cheats for sex has one problem. A man who cheats because he feels emotionally erased has a very different one. That second wound usually started long before the affair ever did, long before the relationship, maybe long before adulthood. Here is what most men who cheat never say out loud. Not to their partners, not to their friends, sometimes not even to themselves. I did not feel wanted. Not sexually, just wanted. Like someone was glad I was there, like my presence mattered, like I was more than a function. That is not a small thing. For a lot of men, that is the thing. And here is where it gets uncomfortable, because most men were never taught how to say that. They were not taught how to say, I feel lonely. I feel invisible. I feel like I am disappearing inside this life. They were taught to handle it, push through it, be fine. So instead of naming the hunger, they run from it. And sometimes they call that escape desire. Sometimes they call it freedom. Sometimes they call it weakness. But underneath it, the feeling is usually much simpler. Hunger. I have sat with this for a long time, because the men I know who have cheated are not usually monsters. They are not cartoons. They are not evil from the start. They are men who ran out of language for what they were feeling. Men who did not know how to say, I feel like a roommate with responsibilities. I miss feeling like a man, not just a role. I need to feel alive again. And instead of speaking that truth, they took a terrible shortcut, one that hurt people, one that broke trust, one that destroyed what they had. That part is real too. Pain explains behavior. It does not erase responsibility. But if you want to prevent this kind of thing, you have to understand the pressure before the collapse. Because cheating is often not the first failure. It is the last one. The last attempt to feel something. The last way to rescue a self that has been quietly fading for too long. And this is not only about cheating. This is about men in general. A lot of men are not just lonely in relationships. They are lonely in their own lives. They are surrounded by people and still feel unseen. They are praised for what they do, but rarely known for who they are. And after a while, that creates a dangerous silence. The kind where a man stops asking for what he needs, stops naming what is missing, stops believing anyone wants to hear it anyway. That is why this matters. Because if you think cheating is only about sex, you miss the real warning. The real warning is emotional disappearance, the slow death of language. The moment a man no longer knows how to ask for closeness and starts reaching for escape instead. So what is the solution? Not excuse, not justify, not minimize. Understand. Understand that many men do not need more temptation. They need more language. They need to learn how to say, I feel invisible. I feel disconnected. I need to feel wanted. And before that hunger turns into something destructive. And for the person who got cheated on, the truth is hard but important. It was probably not about you not being enough. It was about a man who did not know how to say he was disappearing. That does not make the betrayal smaller. It does not make the pain less real. But it does make the truth clearer. And sometimes, clarity is the first step toward not repeating the same pattern again. If that reframed something for you, subscribe. Because next week we are going even deeper into the thing men feel most, but almost never know how to say.